Songwriting tips for beginner songwriters. Learn from your heroes. Absolutely one of the best things I ever did in songwriting was when I started analyzing the songwriters that I liked. And I got the chord books, which I find these are some of the best to get for songwriting. You can get the tab books, but if you're not good at reading tab, they can be a little confusing. And it's just a lot of information going on that you really don't need. With these chord books like this, it's just real easy to see what's going on. And what you do is all your favorite songwriters or bands or whatever, go out, get you their book. Like I said, just get a chord book. Doesn't have to be like a big tab book or anything like that. And what you do, put the song in and read along while the song's playing. And when anything interesting happens, like the part that, really catches you, like if it has a really great transition from the verse into the chorus, pay attention to how they do that. What is the last chord that they play in the verse? And then what is the first chord that they play in the chorus? For example, maybe they end on B in the verse, and then they go to E for the chorus. So it's like a 5-to-1 transition. There's all sorts of different transitions. You can go from the 5 to the 1, the 4 to the 1. You can go to relative major, relative minor, all sorts of things. And after a while, you'll find the transitions that you like best, and then those are the ones that you'll start using. And you got to start thinking about the terminology. I prefer the English and British terminology for songwriting more than American terminology, because anytime you link two pieces of a song together, in British terminology they call that a bridge, but in American songwriting terminology they call that like a pre-chorus or pre-this or pre-that, whatever. And I just think it's kind of misleading, because it really is a bridge. It's a bridge taking you from one place to another. And then now you might say, well, what do the British songwriters call an actual bridge that we would call it in America? They call that a middle eight. And that's because it's usually somewhere right around the middle of the song, and it's traditionally 8 bars. So when you start thinking about it like that, of verses, choruses, middle eights, and then the bridges, which are the transitions in between, then you'll really start to understand how these songwriters patch these things together, because they'll have maybe a chorus in their head, and then they'll have another verse from, way back when. They're like, oh man, I think these two would go together, but they don't quite fit. Well, that's what the bridge is for. The bridge, you use what they call functional harmony, and that is basically each chord has like a certain pull. It wants to go to another chord. Like I said, like the 5th wants to go to the 1st, and the 4th wants to go to the 1st too, but the 5-1 is like a really powerful one. And so what they'll do is they will write another little chord progression that will allow them to transition to that chorus or back into the verse, and smoothly. And sometimes you don't want smooth. Sometimes you want it to just pop, just like a hammer dropping down the transition. And I think of Sheryl Crow's There Goes the Neighborhood. I always just loved like how hard that chorus kicked in, even though there wasn't any really powerful drums or big electric guitars or anything like that. And that one kicks in so hard because she transitions. She uses a flat 6 to the 1 instead of traditionally using a regular 6 would be like going from relative major to relative minor. And that gives you kind of an otherworldly kind of vibe, like you've jumped into a parallel universe. Well, when you use a flat 6, it's a much darker, like sinister parallel universe. So it really hits hard. And so those are the things that you want to be looking for when you read along, like, let's see, like Your Time Is Gonna Come, So you would just put that on, and you would just start reading along, and then you would pay attention. It's harder, I say Led Zeppelin's probably a bad example here because they're kind of in their own genre on how they wrote songs, you know, and like they didn't have the obvious like pop format of verse chorus type thing going on, where like Oasis definitely had really strong verses and choruses and stuff, but Noel was, I think, really the genius of bridging parts together. I think his bridges are just amazing, and he can basically put together two totally different pieces of music and make it sound amazing. But you might like some other style of songwriting, so that's why go out, get the book, and just study, because all the greatest songwriters, the way they got good was either from listening to the records or, you know, breaking down, you know, playing the music, get the sheet music out and playing it and learning it, or, you know, reading through their tab books and chord books and stuff like that. Whatever they did, they always broke down their favorite songs to figure out, like, why do I like this song? Why is this song so good? You know, like, is it because it's in a minor key? Is it because, you know, it starts out light and goes heavy? Is, you know, all these different things that you like, you study their music, and then you will figure out how to do it.